Hello, everyone. I'm Carolyn Smith-Kizer, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. I'm a clinical herbalist in the Western Vitalist Tradition, and as a 76-year-old cancer survivor with over 22 years of experience in herbal healing, I've learned firsthand that true wellness isn't about quick fixes. It's about creating a life where your body can thrive naturally. Today, we're going to explore anti-inflammatory living, not as a diet or a set of rules, but as a beautiful tapestry woven from many threads. The foods we choose, the herbs we embrace, how we move our bodies regardless of ability, how we manage stress, and how we honor our individual constitution. This isn't about swapping this herb for that pharmaceutical. It's about understanding your body's innate wisdom and supporting it holistically. As a vitalist herbalist, just don't see inflammation as something to suppress. Instead, I view it as a lens through Western energetics, looking at the tissue states of hot, cold, damp, dry, tense, and lax. When I received my lymphedema diagnosis after my cancer surgery, my focus became very clear. How can I achieve true health and balance without relying on pharmaceuticals or more surgery for that matter? The answer lies in understanding that chronic inflammation is often our body's way of telling us that something is out of balance. Rather than just treating the symptoms with a band-aid approach, we need to address root causes through the interconnected web of diet, lifestyle, stress, sleep, and our relationship with plant allies. One of the most powerful concepts that I teach is herbal synergy, what I like to call botanical jazz bands, where herbs work together to create effects greater than their individual reactions. Let me share my favorite anti-inflammatory combinations, which are borne out by science, and most people, these are their go-to combinations. Excuse me. Turmeric and black pepper. This is like the rhythm section of our anti-inflammatory orchestra. The piperine in black pepper increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. But here's what's beautiful. We're not just using isolated curcumin. We're using the whole turmeric root with its complete array of phytochemicals working synergistically. Ginger also works with turmeric. When these two powerhouses combine, they work on different inflammatory pathways, creating super anti-inflammatory effects compared to either herb alone. I often recommend starting your day with a golden milk latte, incorporating both. Or if turmeric and black pepper is too drying for you, which it may be, then I recommend ginger and cinnamon in a combination latte. This synergistic approach extends beyond herbs to everything we do. How our diet supports our movement, how our stress management enhances our sleep, how our environment either supports or hinders our body's natural healing processes. Individualized anti-inflammatory living makes my approach, different. I do not believe in a one-size-fits-all solution. Through my work with Nutrigenomics and traditional energetic assessment, I've learned that what creates inflammation in one person might actually be healing for another. For example, someone with a hot, tense constitution might need cooling, relaxing herbs like lemon balm and foods that are energetically cooling. Meanwhile, someone with a cold, dampened constitution might thrive with warming spices like ginger and cinnamon. In my practice, I use both modern tools, looking at genetic markers and lab results, alongside traditional pulse testing and energetic assessment. This combination helps me understand not just what foods and herbs might work, but why they work for an individual person. Your brain has spent its entire life recognizing what's on the end of your fork as either incoming fire or a welcome gift. And depending upon what it sees, it is going to send off warning bells all through your system. Your digestion will shut down and you'll be in flight or fight mode. You can't digest your food. So if you continue to put whatever's on the end of your fork in your mouth and it's the wrong thing for you, you're going to have a clump in there. It's not going to really digest. You're going to have gas and bloating and constipation. So we really need to make certain that we are eating what is not an inflammatory trigger for our body. I consider that there are 5 pillars of anti-inflammatory living. My first pillar is nourishing foods as medicine. I focus on whole foods that honor your body's innate wisdom. Think dark leafy greens rich in antioxidants, berries with their anthocyanins, and healthy fats that support cellular health. But remember, it's not just what you eat, it's how consistently you incorporate these healing foods into your daily routine. Pillar number 2, movement as vital force. Regular physical activity enhances the effects of everything else that we do. I'm not talking about intense workouts. I am talking about movement that supports your natural body's energy flow and lymphatic drainage. That can be walking, that can be stretching, that can, even in a wheelchair, you can move and help your body's lymph system move. Pillar number 3 is stress as a sacred practice. Stress management isn't just about relaxation. It's about understanding that unmanaged stress can counteract all the healing benefits of our herbs and foods. Whether through mindfulness practices or simply creating more balance in our daily rhythms, this pillar supports everything else. Pillar 4 is sleep. Quality sleep is when our body does its deepest healing work. Poor sleep can literally counteract the anti-inflammatory benefits of everything else you do. And then there are the herbs. These are plant allies. And herbs aren't supplements, they're teachers. When we work with plants, for instance, oregano with its carabinol and thymol compounds, or elderberry with its immune supporting properties, we're entering into relationship with ancient wisdom that's been supporting human health for centuries. The beautiful thing about this approach is that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Small, consistent changes create the foundation where wellness can thrive naturally. As I always tell my clients, we're not looking for overnight transformation. We're creating sustainable changes that honor your unique constitution and life circumstances. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What questions do you have about creating your own anti-inflammatory lifestyle? Remember, everybody's individual journey to wellness is unique, and I'm here to help you find your path. Okay, let me see what kind of questions we have coming in. I always forget my Buy Me a Coffee link. I will make sure in a moment that I find that and get it in here. Hello, John Mark from France. I don't see any questions. Are we going to quit? Last time I went almost 2 hours, you guys. Come on. Does the type okay, here is one question that I see, the first one, and it's from Tax Girl 64. How does the type of protein we choose impact inflammation? Uh, I do not eat pork or shellfish for religious reasons. And if you have a heart attack and you go to your cardiologist, the first food he's going to tell you not to eat is pork. Often he will tag on, don't eat shellfish either. The reason for that is that those pork in particular, the fat that's in pork um, can contribute to inflammation. The type of fat that's in fatty fish, salmon, trout, mackerel, sardines, that sort of fish, or good healthy chicken fat or goose fat, beef tallow, those types of fats and proteins do not contribute to inflammation. Now, if you are vegan or vegetarian, of course, you're not going to be eating those particular meats, and your inflammation may be coming from different sources. And I apologize, but I am being plagued by biting flies today that are just insane. Also, deep frying your whatever meat that you're eating is not always good. Always use olive oil. Seed oils are not good for you. The chemical process that they have to go through to become usable causes them to go rancid very quickly. And when your body encounters rancid fats, whether it's in prepared foods that you buy in a box or a sack, or you go through a drive-through and they are using soy or other types of seed oils, you're going to encounter inflammatory response in your body. Yes. As an herbalist, I cannot not recommend that you don't see your doctor. Everyone should see their doctor, and never make changes in your diet or your drug or supplement regimen until you've had it checked out with your particular medical personnel. And that can be anything from registered dietitians to medical personnel, nurses, that sort of thing. What I teach is strictly for educational purposes. I am not looking at you across the room from me. I do not have your pulse in my hand. I cannot look at your tongue. I can't look in your eye. I can't really determine your individual constitution or energetics unless I have you either on a Zoom call or I have you sitting across the table from me. So I cannot recommend that individual things over the internet without having seen you, or so I always recommend that you go to your medical personnel first before you do anything that I recommend that you do. I have not personally dealt with any men who have enlarged prostate. My husband was not plagued with that, so I have no experience herbally having dealt with that. The popular literature says saw palmetto, but I do not know. I cannot say, I cannot address that. One of the things that I've discovered through life is that if you do not have quality fats in your diet, your arthritis, regardless of where it is in your body, is going to be exacerbated. I am not certain how vegans deal with arthritic conditions, or even if they're plagued by it. If they are, I'm not sure how they deal with it. But eating chicken, eating chicken skin, eating chicken fat, eating beef tallow, eating fatty fish, which is salmon and trout, sardines, mackerel, that sort of fish, good quality Kobe beef. Oh, wonderful stuff. I'm now vegetarian, but back in the day, I really appreciated medium rare steak caramelized in a pan with great wine sauce on it. I mean, that was wonderful. And it's hard to remember, hard to give up that flavor, that memory of that flavor. But good quality protein, whether it comes from plant sources, good quality fats, whether they come from good animal sources or from good quality oils like avocado, olive oil, those will help ameliorate arthritic conditions. They help, literally, they help grease the joints. If you don't have a certain amount of fat in your diet, your herb synapses do not connect. There are certain vitamins that are fat soluble, and if you do not have quality fat in your diet, eating the vitamin, taking the supplement goes right through you and you pee it out. It will not do your body any good. In fact, it can actually build up and cause your liver problems because it doesn't metabolize correctly. So quality fats are very good for you. But again, quality fats. And I am not talking about seed oils. I'm talking about olive, avocado, fatty fish, beef tallow, mutton tallow, although I don't think many people would enjoy eating mutton tallow, but that sort of thing. Let me scroll on down here and see what else I can see. Saffron is how would I use saffron? Saffron is, I have not actually studied saffron yet, but I do know that it is a very potent herb. It is used a lot to color and it does have quite a strong flavor. It is used in paella and in a lot of Indian dishes. It would be very good if you had access to saffron and you wanted to experiment with it. It would be very good in a latte. I don't know that I would combine it with turmeric or ginger, but I would consider using cinnamon and some cocoa with it in a latte. And let me digress for a second. Back in this 16th century, when coffee and tea and chocolate first hit Europe, and people had never tasted it before, it was considered a medicine because when they drank it, they could feel what it did to their body. Because it was a new experience and a new taste, they could feel how it was reacting in their body and how their body reacted to the substance. And they loved it. It was an incredible experience to them. And in the beginning, it was medicine. But then they began to realize that they felt better, they felt perkier, they cleared their brain fog, whatever, and they began to socialize. And so you went to somebody's house for tea, or you went to a coffee house and had coffee, or you had chocolate, and it was thick and rich. And in the beginning, it didn't have sugar in it. It was the Belgians who first put sugar into chocolate. And then, oh my, everybody in Europe went nuts for it. So your body, when you divorce yourself from what you're currently doing and you reset and start going in a slightly different direction and eat and drink different things, your body will pause and take stock and feel and either appreciate or not appreciate what you're putting into it. So, for instance, if you all wanted to go on a journey, an anti-inflammatory journey with me, I would tell you, first of all, you can't change what you can't measure. So if you don't have a starting point where you've written down your weight, your measurements, what you ate yesterday, and what you're going to eat today, because it's going to be different, that is your baseline. That is your starting point. 8 days later, and I don't know why 8 days are significant, but it seems to work. Most of my clients notice something really different within the first 8 days and definitely after 10. So when I take someone on an anti-inflammatory journey, I recommend that the only two things they really need to buy is they go and buy some pink Himalayan salt and some 8 organic lemons, because you're going to be eating the peel too. So on the first day, you're going to have in the morning, and I prefer morning, not evening, unless you do it at 8 o'clock and you're going to bed at 10, 1 cup of water with the entire juice of that lemon, half a teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt, and drink it, all of it. It doesn't taste as bad as you think it's going to. It's not as sour as you think it's going to be. And then let it sit in your stomach for 5-10 minutes, and then begin your breakfast routine, whatever that is. Coffee, in France, it's croissants and chocolate, but whatever. Make sure that everything you eat for the next 8 days is anti-inflammatory food and drink. You may have been given a list by your dietitian or your doctor or some medical professional that you're already working with. But if you don't have an anti-inflammatory food list, I've provided one in the video description of this video. And it's free, it's downloadable. It's a list you can print out and put on your refrigerator. Anyway, for 8 days, you have your lemon juice and salt in water every morning. You eat only anti-inflammatory foods and drinks for 8 days. After 8 days, you measure, you weigh, you journal how you've slept, how you've peed. Drink lots and lots of water, by the way. Whether your urine is clearing, whether your bowels are moving more easily, if you're bloating or gas or conditions that you may have currently, if they have changed in any way, good or bad. On the inflammatory list, there are some items that may or may not contain gluten, and you will know after 8 or 10 days whether if you haven't been plagued by gluten or if you are changing and trying to find out whether it's a problem for you, you should know within 8 to 10 days whether it is. At that point, then we would make other changes. But otherwise, you now know whether you've improved or not. You know whether you're going to continue, because you either feel so great, you're sleeping better, you have a reason now, and you have a measurable progress from your baseline. So again, after 8 or 10 days, after 8 days, you definitely give up the lemon. Oh, and I forgot to add, the rind of the lemon, the reason it must be organic is because you're going to grind the entire rind of the lemon, and half of it can go in your morning smoothie. The other half can go in your pasta sauce. If you eat pasta with a sauce on it, it can go in soup. It can be mixed into your salad dressing. I want you to eat the entire rind of a lemon and its juice with salt for 8 days, once a day. And then I want you to not do it for 3 weeks, because your body is going to have reacted to the lemon, and you could call it a mini detox, but it's not really. It's a kind of a gentle nudge in a direction, but it is not forcing your body into a strong detox, which, if your body is not balanced, and that's the whole point of the lemon and the anti-inflammatory foods, if your body isn't balanced, a detox will hurt you more than it helps you. It clogs up your liver. It's not good for you to detox if you don't have your body in balance to begin with. Then after 8 to 10 days and you're feeling better, then you continue on. Why would you go back to whatever it was you were doing before if you now know that you feel better because of what you have been doing? Then you continue on. And there are ways to make that even better. And so in the video description of this live, there is a 3-day worth of recipes for anti-inflammatory foods. There is a 5-day reset, I think. Maybe not. There will be. I'm trying to get it finished. But, okay, lost my train of thought. Those flies are terrible. Someone is asking, can you drink a mixture of turmeric and ginger and have it be the same? And yes and no. Turmeric and ginger are good in combination, but turmeric is 2,000 times more effective in its curcumin component if you have black pepper, if you have the piperine in the black pepper with it. I am not Jewish. Someone is asking if the reason, I would assume the reason they're asking me that is that I don't eat pork for religious reasons. I am not Jewish, however. When I pick up my Bible and read it, it says not to eat pork and not to eat shellfish. If a fish doesn't have a fin and a scale, I don't eat it. If the meat presented to me didn't come from an animal with a cloven hoof and chew its cud, I'm not going to eat it. That doesn't make me Jewish. That just means that I'm able to read what I find on the page. I am not familiar with the WWOOF in Lyon, an organic farming nonprofit volunteer program. Thinking about volunteering. John, I think that would be fabulous. You would learn immeasurably in any program like that. And I know that there are several such programs like that in France. Some are run by herbalists, some are run by agronomists or gardeners. But if I was 30 years old and know what I know now, boy, let me tell you, I would be living in one of those, they'd never get me out the door. As an herbalist, I cannot speak to specific symptoms or conditions like diverticulitis, but I would assume, knowing what I know about that particular condition, that eating foods that set your digestion off or shut it down or don't aid it would just make it worse. So an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, getting good sleep, good movement, handling stress, everything you put on your skin, up your nose, and that includes air and pollution, or in your mouth, whether it's food or drink, is going to be either inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. Depending upon what's right or what's wrong with you, it will either help you or hurt you. So the key is to find out of the list of anti-inflammatory foods, which ones you like, which ones you enjoy eating and have access to. Organic is always best, but some people can't afford organic. You can actually go out in the backyard and dig up weeds, and your backyard is the store outside your door. You would be surprised at the incredible vitamins and minerals and proteins in some of those herbs and plants growing out there that would actually sustain you in a famine. I mean, you could literally almost in most people's backyard, particularly if they're not spraying it for killing the dandelions and that sort of thing. The amount of food outside your door is incredible. In my experience, soy is a contributor to inflammation. Soy oil, I do not recommend the use of soy oil. I always recommend nut oils like almond or walnut or avocado or coconut oil. I do not recommend soy. I also know that soy, there is problems with female hormones sometimes with soy products. For that reason, I would not use it. Juicing is wonderful if you eat the pulp too. If your goal is to get all of the pulp out of the food that you're juicing, you're getting rid of 90% of the goodness of the drink in front of you. If with today's blenders and submersion blenders, there's no reason not to eat everything of the fruit that you're doing. Getting rid of the pulp, getting rid of the skin even is not good. Eat the whole fruit. Juice is great, but what it does is concentrates the sugar in the fruit without the bulk of the rest of the constituents in the plant itself that go along to help ameliorate the sugar in the juice. So separating them and just drinking the juice is not as good for you and can mess up your blood sugar, whereas eating the whole fruit. Now, I don't mean banana peels, but peach, a little bit of peach skin, orange peels. I don't recommend grapefruit. That's terrible, but lemon's not bad. Lime's not bad. Apples and cherries, and just eat the whole food. Yeah, it was 100 degrees almost. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I mean in centigrade in France, but it was for 2 weeks straight. It was between 90 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, my Fahrenheit in France. And I mean, it was horrible. Today, I have a shawl on and I'm sitting here with the door open, just a crack, and it is almost chilly. Can you believe it? I mean, that is just amazing. Sunspots and sunburn. If you are plagued with sunspots and sunburn, you should use sunscreen before you go out. Make certain that the perfumes and the constituents in your body care products are not causing your skin to burn even more, because you will find that some of the products, some of the uh, things, the ingredients within normal body and skincare will cause your skin to react photosynthesis. I have them on my face too. And in the windowsill over here, I have some oil macerating that has immortal, it has Bellis perennis, a little bit of mugwort, and some other herbs in it. And in another week, it will be ready to decant. And then I'm going to do a live where we talk about how to make your own face cream. And currently in plastic surgery and in a high-end, very high-end cosmetics, the Belides or Belides, however it's pronounced, constituent out of Bellis perennis is currently being used to get rid of those spots and to lighten the skin. So I'm going, my herbal potion over here that's still cooking away has both immortal, which is everlasting flower. That also is marvelous for that. So I'm going to make some cream for my face for that, and I'm going to apply it to one side and do a test for a couple of weeks, taking before and after photos, and let you see if it works and how it works, and encourage you then to make your own. But also, I'll also be doing what is that? Gua sha technique, where you so if you apply your cream with a gua sha or with your knuckles in certain ways, that will increase the effectiveness of the cream and how it actually is absorbed into your skin. Raw coconut oil is good for your skin. Raw coconut oil is good to eat. One of the things about coffee, if you're bothered by spikes in coffee and from the caffeine, if you will drink butter, put butter or ghee or coconut oil in your coffee, or you can add real chocolate, there's cocoa butter in there, that will help your caffeine do this instead of, okay? So always have some fat of some sort when you're drinking a caffeinated beverage. Here's a comment by Paisley. It says, lemon water totally cleared my hubby's smelly urine. That says to me that his body was unbalanced. It was either too high or too low in pH. And that is one of the things that the lemon and salt will do, is help restore. It will help balance your pH. And once your pH is restored or helped balanced, then the food that you put in also can maintain the balance in your body. My garden is not getting on. The nettles got over 6 feet high, and they're like sticks out there. They are. The benefactor is coming with a team of men and equipment to put in the basic garden design that I created, that you'll find in one of my videos. The one on the first Q&A video that I did has my garden plan in it. And they are coming to put in the bones of the garden. And at that point, I have boxes of cardboard sitting here that I have taken all of the tape off of and all of the labels. And once the garden beds are in and the paths are done, I will lay down the cardboard. I will put manure and straw and any uh, extra plants that come when they dig out a path and put it over into the bed next door. Anyway, it will all be then covered with black plastic for 2 weeks, which will cause everything to decompose and turn into compost and be ready then to plant at the end of September in October, because that's a good time to plant fruit trees and some winter vegetables. Come spring, it will be a different story. And I am really looking forward to the garden. One of the ways that I'm going to spend the time between the time they get here to actually get that done is going through the herbs and fruits and nuts and berries on Charlemagne's plant list from the Capitular de Ville. And I will be doing videos on at least 3 herbs at a time. I will do monographs, herbal monographs, normal or herbal monographs. There will be some recipes, both ancient and modern. There will be current scientific research on the herbs and foods and things that are on the list. And I will also be including information from Culpeper, Nicholas Culpeper, from Gerard, from the Flemish uh, herbalist whom Gerard plagiarized, and Paracelsus, and the Ayurvedic and the Chinese and the Arabic. I just said that already. Indian Ayurvedic trans. All of that will be put. Charlemagne, of course, did not know all of this that we know, like companion planting and that sort of thing. Monks in the monastery gardens separated everything with buis or boxwood. And boxwood, yes, is medicinal, but you don't need that much boxwood. To me, having boxwood parterres and then just a little bit of herbs in the middle of all this boxwood is a waste of space and garden. And so, yes, I will have a little bit of box, but it will only be a little bit of box. My plants will be planted in the modern way of companion planting so that you have herb traps and beneficial plants to get the insects to come and all of that sort of thing. I also want to make certain that all of the information that is accrued through the ages since Charlemagne first made that list get included in the 3 at a time herb uh, things that I do videos on, so that those videos will be like a university course when it's done. Those 70 herbs on that list. Uh, that's my plan. So I hope to get that done, or at least begin work on that and finish it during the winter, so that that's ready to go in the spring. Someone is commenting that soy is no good for them because they have thyroid disease. Um, Soy oil is different than soybeans. Um, Soybeans are good for you if you eat them as beans. But when you they weren't really made to be an oil producing like a nut or like olives or avocados, or they weren't made to, and the chemical process they go through to make soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, um, uh, rapeseed, that's terrible. You don't want to go there. Bellus perennis is an incredible herb. Pliny the Elder in 70 AD said that the Roman soldiers who marched through the countryside on the way to war, when they came across a patch of lawn or grass that had Bellus perennis in it, they would all reach down and grab 3 or 4, a handful of it, and put it in a pouch at their neck, kind of like an Indian medicine bag. And when they were in combat, they could reach into that and slap it on a sword cut. And by the time the medic, if they had one, got around to them, it helped the infection rate. It helped the healing. It's an incredibly healing herb. It helps with skin conditions, as in lightening dark patches. It helps. It's just a wonderful herb. And he said that it worked even better if you had a pinch of mugwort with it. So over in my stuff over there in the windowsill, I've got mugwort with my Bellus. Yes, John Mark is commenting that he's glad he lives in Europe because there's no GM products here. That's good. However, scientifically, every time a bee hops from this flower to that flower with pollen on his legs, the possibility of a genetically modified organism occurs. That's natural. When man starts doing things like putting spider web DNA in milk to help it coagulate, then I got a problem with that. Or some of the other things that they do, Roundup Ready soybeans and etc., so that you can go out and spray willy-nilly and mow everything down with Roundup, and it will kill all the weeds. Well, what in the world is that doing to your body? Because that Roundup doesn't go away. It's in the soil, it's in the air, it filters over to the neighbor's crops. Nasty. Yes, Europe is much cleaner when it comes to that. Also, people in America who are bothered by SIBO and by gluten intolerance can come to Europe, and they can eat pasta in Italy, and they can eat bread in France grown without the Roundup and without the GMO seeds that are grown in America, and they are not bothered as bad in their SIBO or in their gluten intolerance. They go back to America and they're sick again. So there is something to be said for the way the Europeans are doing it. How do I know so much? Paratrooper's wife asks. Confession time. I cannot do math. I can do 2 + 2 = 4, but when you get me into an equation where I am solving for an unknown and my brain is... So I went to college, and I went to college, and I went to college, and I tried again going to college, and I have 213 credits. I have enough credits for 2 full majors in anthropology and art history. I have enough credits for 3 minors in Canadian studies, Native American studies, and multi-ethnic studies. But I have no degree and I have no letters after my name because I cannot pass the math sequence to get a degree. So you know what? I thought, to hell with it. I'm going to learn everything I can about everything I'm interested in, and I don't care if I can't get a job. I don't care if I have to be a secretary for the rest of my life. I am going to die learning. That's why I know a lot of stuff. That doesn't really make me smart. It just means I'm still able to go in the file drawer of my mind and pile through all the stuff and pull out interesting facts and make parallels and comparisons. But it's because I keep stuff in here. Roundup may be against the law in Europe, Tacoma, but you know what? I have driven past fields since I've been in France where I know they sprayed Roundup or they sprayed something similar because where I came from, I knew what Roundup looked like when the great big things would go across the field spraying it, and I would see what the field looked like right across from my house. I know I've seen that same field look here in France, but it's not as bad as it was in America. What attracted me to herbology? I have always been interested in plants. My grandmother had hundreds of plants, and was always talking about plants. And when I had surgery in 2002, I had a hysterectomy, radical hysterectomy, and it caused me to get lymphedema as a result of that surgery. I didn't have to have radiation or chemotherapy, but I did develop lymphedema on the left side of my body. And so the left leg is much bigger than the right. And as a result of that, and the fact that I was 54 and was going through menopause or whatever at the time, the radical hysterectomy caused me also to be pushed into lipedema. And lipedema is a rare adipose, meaning fat tissue disease, where instead of having regular belly fat or arm fat or leg fat, kind of like chicken fat, it is full of blood vessels and full of fibrous tissue that gets hard and lumpy, and diet does absolutely nothing to make it go away. The only thing currently that makes it go away is to get cut open and have it sucked out. And I decided I hated the surgeon's knife. I'd been under the knife enough. I wasn't going to go there again voluntarily. So there had to be a better way to control lymphedema and some way to make lipedema at least more tolerable, because it is painful on occasion. So I started studying, and there were studies that I came across that talked about herbs and supplements, vitamins and things that helped with the condition. And so I was off and running. I became a student at the Herbal Academy of New England. I also, and so I have an advanced certificate from them in clinical studies. I have a Vitalist clinical herbalist certificate from the School of Evolutionary Herbalism with Seja Popham. And if anybody's in America or worldwide is looking for a course, Seja Popham's The School of Evolutionary Herbalism, I recommend it over all of the things that I've taken. He had long hair and dreadlocks and was a hippie guy in a yurt out in the Southwest Oregon desert. But let me tell you, that guy is an herbalist par excellence. There is nobody that can touch him as far as how he teaches and what he teaches. His programs are absolutely marvelous. I feel very privileged to have been learning from him. The Herbal Academy of New England is also excellent. Wonderful stuff. And there are other herb schools. Most of them, all of them, are marvelous. And I have taken classes from a great many of them. But out of all of the ones that I've studied under, those two, and also the Wild Rose College of Herbs in Canada, those three schools, I totally recommend, absolutely recommend. Tina is saying she doesn't speak English, and the sad part about doing a live is that until it finishes and YouTube processes the live video, the automatic dubbing for other languages is not available. But in a couple of days after the video has finished and processed, the automatic dubbing for other languages will be available. Endoscopic surgery, I don't care. The complications and the scarring and the I'm willing to just lug it around. It hurts not. It doesn't hurt every day, and I just deal with it. I just get on with it. But no, I'm not going. I have no desire for elective surgery. There is currently a clinical trial, a human clinical trial going on Stanford University in America, where the possibility of a drug to ameliorate lipedema, it's already working for lymphedema, but they're currently in clinical trials to see if it will also work for lipedema. I am waiting for that to happen. When that happens, then they can shoot me with that needle, but I'm not going under the knife. I am not familiar with whether carrageenan is I guess it's carrageenan, is contributory to inflammation or not. But as far as, let me go online real quick and see what I can find out about it, because in my mind, it is a seaweed extract or something like that. Actually, Science Direct says that carrageenan is anti-inflammatory. But I also see that it is an effect of proteinase inhibitors. So I don't know enough about it to answer that. But coffee creamer that is not cream, or something like pure coconut oil or ghee or butter or cocoa butter in chocolate, I would say is not the way to go to lighten your coffee. If you're going to drink coffee and you want fat You want a smooth taste to your coffee. Use real fat, butter, ghee, which is a clarified butter, coconut oil, cocoa butter. Put some cocoa in it. That will be good for you. I don't think the comments show after the live. So at the end, when I decide to quit, I will copy the chat and I will upload it to my Google Drive, and I will make it available in the description of the video so that you can find the chat. Will that help? Oh, I didn't know you could open the chat again. Well, that's good. The herbs that I take for lipedema and lymphedema don't really help with the pain. They help with the swelling. And if it's not as swollen, then it doesn't hurt as much. If I sit for long periods of time, which it's very easy to do because it hurts, and so you sit for a long period of time because you don't want to get up and move around and etc. But the herbs just are good for me, and I know that they help. They're not hurting, so I just keep doing them. But they don't really contribute to healing or to causing the condition to go away or get better. They do help with the swelling. MCT oil would be non-inflammatory. Yes, that's correct. Someone is saying, for my information, a lot of Italian-made pasta is made from Canadian-grown and U.S.-grown wheat. Italy imports a lot of durum wheat. I think they have to say on the outside of the package, and this is not in a restaurant, of course, but in Italy, but if you buy Italian pasta, it should say the origin. At least in America, they have to put the origin of the product in it. It can be made in America, but the produce from which they made it needs to be on the package as well. South Loop River is saying just buy organic pasta. And yes, that's true. But it's even better to buy organic flour and make your own pasta. It's a piece of cake to make. And it's good exercise to roll that dough. I used to live at the tip of the thumb of Michigan, Terry Ritzema, in Kindy at the tip of the thumb in Michigan. And I went from there to Alaska, to Adak, Alaska, and then I went back to Idaho, and then from there I came to France. Saginaw. Ah, okay. My husband taught at Saginaw Valley State University in the English department for a while. Alan is asking, I have neuropathy brought on by my medications used previously. Is there an herbal relief? As an herbalist, I cannot say yes or no. What I can tell you is everything that you put in your mouth, up your nose, or on your skin needs to be anti-inflammatory. If you get your body in balance and you eat and live in an anti-inflammatory way, if you can get better, you will get better somewhat, more or less. At least you won't get worse, God willing. Honey is a very good natural sweetener. Local honey is absolutely the best because you are drinking the same water, you're smelling the same air, and all the stuff floating through it as the bees in your area are drinking and eating the pollen and making the honey. So local honey is absolutely the best for you. However, pure cane sugar, I'm not recommending that you eat a lot of it, but pure cane sugar does have its place in food preparation and in food and drink. You really can't can food with honey. It will not work the same way, and jams and things don't make the same way. Pure cane sugar, if you're going to eat sugar, make sure it's pure cane sugar. Also, sugar and salt, a little bit of each in your coffee, in your tea, help the herbal constituents in whatever you're drinking precipitate out and go into solution so that you can benefit from them even more. So that is why people always put a little bit of sugar or honey in their tea. It really actually scientifically, chemically helps the ingredients in your herbs, the constituents in those herbs come out into the tea so that you can drink it and make it part of your body. Mercy US from Michigan. Did I see you at a reenactment at Pine Grove Park in Port Huron long ago? You may have, but I believe I was at Lake St. Clair, Metro Park or something on Lake St. Clair. I can't remember. But anyway, yes, you may have seen me. I wanted to go reenact at Fort Michilimackinac, but I didn't get a chance to do that. Blackstrap molasses, make sure it's coming from pure cane process. I think some companies adulterate their blackstrap by adding stuff to it to make it more blackstrappy. It's blackstrappy enough if you get the real thing. So always source your materials. Make sure they're as organic and as close to the source as you can find them. Stevia is an herb that you can grow and you can make into a sweetener. However, it's made by taking the leaves and putting them in a jar and covering them with vodka or Everclear or Mark or gin or whatever you want to use. But you cannot steep stevia leaves in alcohol for more than 24 hours, or the metallic aftertaste bitterness you will be unable to utilize it as a sweetener. It won't work. So with this caveat in place, stevia is a marvelous sweetener. It only takes a drop. but do not macerate your stevia leaves more than 24 hours in whatever uh, alcohol you put them in. And then it just takes a drop. A3, let's see, just a minute. Make sure I do this right. Stories to Tell asks, are dairy foods anti-inflammatory? God promised a land of milk and honey. So I have absolutely no problem eating dairy. However, what the dairy cow or sheep or goat ate, or how it was treated with antibiotics or not, is going to uh, cause that milk to be better or not better for you. So I believe there's something called A3 milk as opposed to A2 or A1, which means that it doesn't have all that extra. The animals that produced it have not had all of the extra stebesterol and stuff, hormones and other things that they're given to make them produce more milk, which then is what it's that within the milk that actually causes the problem for you. In Idaho, where I was in southern Idaho, they had humongous dairy barns, and there were mostly Holstein cows that had been bred to have gigantic bags, and they were chained in those barns until they dropped and were turned into hamburger. And those cows never got outside to get out in the grass or sit out in the shade and chew their cud. They were chained in a dairy barn on a concrete floor, and the had a sluice of water going through to get rid of the urine and feces. I don't want to drink that milk. I don't want to eat that cheese or cook with that butter. Here in France, I can drive down the road. I can drive 8 kilometers to the next town, Boussac, go to the market or pick up something. And I'm basically I'm the only car on the road usually. And there are cows, soft, buff-colored ones, which I think are Limousin. There are Charolais. There are Normandy cattle, which are slightly brown with the front parts that are white with brown speckles. Beautiful cows, happy cows. They're contented cows. They're out there under the trees in the heat of the day. They are chewing their cud. They're eating grass. They're mooing to each other. They're just sitting there enjoying the day. You can't tell me that that cow is not going to produce better tasting, better for you milk, cheese, butter. So if you are eating dairy products that come from cows that have been force fed all kinds of stuff to make them produce more milk and have not lived a cow's life, I would almost take a bet that that kind of milk, butter, and cheese is going to produce an inflammatory response in your body, because that whatever they put in the cows is going to get inside you too. And it's that's creating the anti-inflammatory response, not the dairy product itself. The sun is coming in so bright. I'm going to have to get a shade here so I can actually see. Yeah, I don't think I cannot see eating an animal that was raised in a cage or chained in a barn and was never allowed to live an animal life. Um, and then the way that they're killed in the mass slaughterhouses, um, the hormones that are released, the adrenal scare, fight or flight hormones that are released when they kill them because the animal is in distress and knows what's coming, uh, that's poisoning the meat as well. I watched a movie several months ago. I believe it was in March that I watched it, called Christspiracy. I don't know if any of you have seen it. If you do see it, you may not eat meat again. I chose, after seeing that movie, to become vegetarian. But because God promised a land of milk and honey, I will eat honey, I will eat milk, and I will eat eggs because it doesn't hurt the bee, the chicken, or the cow to eat those three things and products created from those three types of food. But I will not eat meat again. The thing that really got me in the movie was someone asked, how would Christ kill an animal? And I went, I don't think he would have, and sure as hell not to eat it. So that was the end of my meat eating. And I will tell you, I loved medium rare steak. I knew how to cook and grill and make sausage, and I miss the flavor. And one of the things that I'm going to do is try and recreate some of the flavor in the herbs and spices and sugars and liquid smoke and some of the other things, ground barks that you can put together and allow that uh, mixture to kind of age so that you end up with, if you sprinkle a little bit of that, you might get that bacon flavor. And really, what people love about bacon is the sugar cure. It's that flavor that they're after, not necessarily that they like the taste of pork. It's that sugar cure. So, what we're talking about is combinations of herbs and spices that give you that flavor. So, once I've created those combinations, I will be sharing them with you, and I will be doing some taste tests and seeing if I can turn vegetables and fruits and things, nuts, seeds, into uh, at least remembering the taste a little bit. But you can make uh, sausage out of quinoa and beans, and I mean, there's ways to get uh, some of the mouthfeel that you would miss as a vegetarian if you had eaten meat to begin with. So I'm going to be working on a cookbook and some spice mixtures and things, and trying to get some of that taste back. At Paisley is asking whether lemon helps acid reflux. Acid reflux is a problem with your digestive juices, and part of the problem is um, your stomach acid is working overtime or it's not working enough. Depends. And so, one way to calm your stomach acid balance down is to make certain that whatever your brain sees on the end of your fork coming in your mouth is something that is not inflammatory. Your brain spent its life looking at what's on the end of your fork, and it recognizes that food as either enemy fire or a welcome gift. And it will set off alarm bells in your body, which shuts down your digestion, or it will say, okay, everything's fine, go ahead and digest, which then your stomach acid will work correctly. But if you've had acid reflux or stomach acid problems, lemon juice and salt may not work for you. You won't know until you try. But do it in the morning and don't go lay down and don't get real active. Give it a chance to settle in your stomach, and then go and eat the rest of your breakfast and give your stomach acid a chance to work correctly. If it doesn't work the first time, don't force it. Because I had hiatal hernia, I thought. What it was a gallbladder reaction. I had to have my gallbladder out. But yeah, I know that that's an awful feeling. So you do not want to set that off. But you won't know whether the lemon juice and water is going to do that to you until you try it once. Just make sure you don't lay down, and make sure that you don't do anything really active, and that you give it a chance to a minute to sit in there, and then go about eating your breakfast so that your stomach has something to work on. And if it doesn't bother you the first day, try it the second day and the next day, but never more than 8 days in a row. Skip 3 weeks and try it again. The reason that I tell you that is because lemon juice and salt is it's going to do something to your body. It's going to balance it. It's going to help with your pH, rising it or lowering it, whatever's required. Your body will know, and it will react to the lemon and salt. But you won't know until you try. But you do not need to force your body to contend with that, because it is, I don't want to call it, I can't legally call it a treatment, but it is a means of proceeding that will cause your body to react in some fashion, good or bad. You won't know till you try. But you don't need to do it to your body more than 8 days in a row to get the benefit. It's just like when the doctor prescribes medication. He says, take two pills 2 times a day for 7 days and you're done, right? You don't keep doing it over and over and over. 7 days and you're done. So the lemon juice, my lemon juice suggestion is 8 days. I've seen phenomenal things happen to people in 8 days. 10 definitely, but the lemon juice no longer than 8. Skip 3 weeks and do it again. Also, when you're drinking herb tea or herbal tea combinations, don't drink the same combination for 6 months straight. Your body gets tired of things just like you get tired of eating the same thing over and over. So have a variety of herbal combinations that you enjoy. Test some out, and you have one in the morning and you have a different one in the afternoon. Tomorrow you have a different one in the morning and a different one in the afternoon, and then you go back to the other one, and then maybe for 3 days you eat the same thing twice a day. You just feel like it. But don't give your body a chance to recognize and to accept and to work with what you give it. Just make sure that everything on the end of your fork, or in your mouth or up your nose or on your skin, is something that is not going to inflame your body, because everything you put on your skin, up your nose, and in your mouth ends up in your body. So if you're putting poisons and petrochemicals from skincare products and shampoos and various and sundry whatevers all over yourself and in your air freshener and in your fabric softener sheet and in your synthetic clothing, if you are swimming in a sea of petrochemicals, your body is not going to feel well or balanced. Those sort of things. I don't recommend that you jump out tomorrow and change everything. Nobody can afford to do that. Nobody should do that. Do things slowly, try things, make sure you journal and write down what you're doing and why you're doing it and what you're looking for, hoping to achieve. If you do achieve it, if you're sleeping better, if you're moving better, if your digestion is working better and you're peeing and pooping and everything is working great, then why would you change? Why would you go back to what you were doing before? Again, you can't change what you can't measure. So make sure whatever you do, that you start from a baseline. Someone says apples trigger reflux for her. When I eat an apple, I belch. I don't eat it. It doesn't happen to me eating any other food or drink. But if I eat an apple, I'm guaranteed to belch once or twice, and then I'm done. But there's something about the apple, and I don't know whether it's the apple or whether it's something in the apple. But, don't the Arabs belch to show that, they enjoyed the meal and the food was good? So maybe belching isn't that bad for us. But yes, apples do cause me to belch. So that tells me that something in my stomach or the way my stomach works or my acid balance or whatever is reacting in some fashion with whatever is in the apple. Now, it's not causing reflux and it's not causing gas or bloating, but I do notice a belch, but only with apples. So I don't know. Carrots make me hiccup. My daughter would be with you there. She would say, Mom, I can't eat carrots. It makes me hiccup. No, baloney. Something in ripe bananas gives me heartburn bad. I would suggest that you try plantains uh, and fry them and mash them and use them. Try it and see if plantains do the same things to you that bananas do. And also, maybe green bananas may not do it to you since you mentioned ripe bananas. Try and see what happens. Ooh, apples and sauerkraut. That sounds wonderful. Yes, watermelon is very good for you. Um, Not only is it good to cool you in the summer, but the uh, color of the watermelon, the actual color of the watermelon is good for you. Um, of course, any too much of any food is not good for you. So I wouldn't recommend eating a whole watermelon. um, but some is no, it's definitely good. And watermelon rind pickles are or jam is wonderful stuff. I was belching during the pH monitor during the discussion of results. It showed that belching was coinciding with a reflux event. And again, uh, that's probably an individual thing, but all the belching is telling you is that your stomach is doing this, and the gas is coming up, and so it has to go somewhere. So it's either going to come out your nose because your mouth is closed, or it's going to come out your mouth, which is the way that it's released. If the gas produced goes the other way, then it's going to lead to bloating. So really, belching is not that bad a thing. It's when you can't belch and you need to, that your reflux action probably will go off. John Mark is saying, my doctor told me to eat pig nut butter smooth as it's a slow release food. Uh, I don't know what you mean by pig nut. Are you talking meaning peanut or ground nut? Um, where peanut butter actually came from was a southern, I don't know whether he was a cook or whether he was a dietitian or a doctor of some sort, but whatever. Peanut butter was developed because someone who was providing food for old men, and I think it may have even been old Black men in the South, who no longer had teeth or who had bad teeth and couldn't chew food. As a result, they were becoming malnourished. And he roasted the peanuts and ground them smooth and made peanut butter and gave it to these men, and they were able to uh, eat it, and it did nourish them. It was very good food, and that's one of the reasons why nuts, seeds, pemmican, uh, bliss balls, energy balls, uh, truffles, truffle candy, those types of conglomerations of dates and nuts and cocoa and fats, really good stuff, really does nourish your body because they are so concentrated in food source that they're very good for you and would be slow release. Friend High says the French finish meals with cheese because it closes the stomach. Um, that's probably true. Uh, the sharpness or lack thereof, depending upon what you're eating with the cheese or drinking with the cheese at the end of a meal, probably would signal not only through the taste buds, but the smell and what your eyes have also seen all your life, that yes, this is the end of the meal, and therefore everything stops, and nothing more is going to come, so you can again get on with the business of digestion, which is another reason to eat your meals slowly and to have different courses. It gives your a layering effect of the food that you put in there and would help it work. I don't think, John Mark, that they were slaves. I think that they were, if I remember the story correctly, they may even have been Civil War survivors, soldiers. Um, they were old men in their 90s, and they had a hard life, whether it was because they'd been slaves or worked hard or whatever, but they had terrible dentition or no teeth at all. And so chewing meat was impossible. And so he made the peanut butter for them to eat, and it helped them get better, at least stay well. George Washington Carver says, sauerkraut was used to prevent scurvy with sailors. And yes, that was one of the problems that they had. One of the reasons that Brits are called limeys, because they had barrels of limes to drink the juice and have the lime. It prevented scurvy. Sauerkraut would do the same thing. Not only would it be good for that, but the fermented part of the sauerkraut would even be wonderful for you as well. That's one of the things we didn't talk about, fermented foods. Fermented foods, the fermentation process itself increases the food value and the access to the different constituents in the foods themselves. The fermenting process makes it more available to your body. So fermented foods are absolutely marvelous for you. The Amish have in America have a saying that you should have 7 sweets and 7 sours on your table at every meal. So a good Amish homemaker would have jams and chutneys and jellies and vinegars and pickles and kimchis and sauerkrauts and all of that kind of stuff. What you do, you would take a little bit and put it, and you would eat it with your meat or with your salad or with your potatoes or whatever, mustard, that sort of thing. It aids digestion. It helps the fermentation, because your gut is just a fermentation process, a big fermentation fat, one side and out the other. It's fermenting as it goes all the way through. The better it works, or the better it ferments and moves through, the better for you. So that sort of thing is really good for you. Plus, how would I prepare food for shortage? Funny that you should ask. In the Bible, the prophet Elijah goes to a Phoenician village, to a widow who had a son, and she and her son were going to eat the last little bit of oil and the last little bit of flour that they had, and they were going to die because there was a horrendous drought and there was no food anywhere. But she did have a little tiny bit of flour and a little bit of oil left in a jug and a jar. And Elijah said, "No, make a cake for me." So she thought, why not? We're going to die anyway. So she made the cake and gave it to the prophet. And you know what? For 3.5 years, that jug of oil and that jug of, or barrel of flour, always had a little bit in it. When it came time to cook, there was always something to cook. I think it's unwise to stockpile, to spend a lot of money stockpiling a lot of food. It's hard for your neighbors not to know that you've done that. And in my mind, it's inviting problems down the line. If you're not willing to shoot someone coming in the door to steal your food, don't store that much food. Rely on God. Have something in your cupboard. When you go to your cupboard and you open the door, there's something there to cook and eat. If you are in the habit of going to the market in the village every day to get your victuals, and you don't have anything put by, a little bit put by for bad times, then you have nothing the Lord can bless. But I think it's unwise to have bunker mentality and prepper mentality and to excess. Notice I'm saying to excess. I do believe that you should be prepared. You should have a little bit of medicine. You should have a little bit of herbs. You should have a little bit of food. You should have a little bit of water or means to procure and purify water. You should know how to do it. If the power goes down, you should know how to go out in the backyard and take some bricks and build a rocket stove. And the cookware that you have shouldn't be the kind that's going to melt if you use it out there. It should be the kind of cookware that you can use on an open fire or on a rocket stove, or at least 1 or 2 kettles set by that you could. If all you know how to do is cook in a microwave and open up a can or a box, and there's nothing left on the shelf or nothing in the market when you go, what are you going to do? That kind of prepping, that kind of putting food by is good for you. Everybody should know that. And also, you should know what's outside the door that you can actually go outside and dig up and eat, because there are lots of medicinal and food herbs growing in most people's yards, in amongst their flowers and in their grass. And if you haven't sprayed it with weed killer or whatever, or mowed it all down so that you only have lawn, grass doesn't really taste that good and is not necessarily that nutritious. But the weeds are. So get to know what's out there and know how you can take care of it and prepare it. I don't have books for sale, but somebody has asked me to write a list of the herbal books that I would recommend. So you know what? I will do a video coming up shortly with my favorite books and why, on things like prepping, uh, in my mind, properly, how to do it without a bunker prepper mentality, but do it. If you don't have anything in your cupboard, it can't be blessed and it won't work. But you can't rely, you cannot rely on having it be there. If your neighbors know you have it, what's to prevent them from stealing it from you? Okay. But also, I don't know whether you've ever heard the story about stone soup, but there was a man who walked into town and he had a kettle and he built a fire in the village square and filled it full of water and started sitting there stirring it, stirring it, stirring it. Somebody came by and said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm making stone soup. Have you got anything to add to the kettle?" And whoever it was went back and got a carrot. Somebody else brought a radish. And somebody else brought a turnip. And somebody else brought some greens, and they put it in the soup. And somebody else had a bone, and somebody else had whatever. And by the time the soup was ready, the whole village was able to eat. So the concept of sharing what you have is important, but you have to have something to share. But putting so much food by, hoarding so much food that you begin to rely on the food that you have instead of the willingness to share, uh, the attitude is wrong. And you don't give God a chance to bless you and increase what you have. And yes, um, everybody, because of their personality and because of their upbringing and because of the things that they like or don't like, are going to have different books, different clothing, different blankets, different food items, different kettles, different stoves, different ways to do things. And it's the ability to share what makes us unique with each other that results in the blessings. What one person has, somebody else needs. So there's a reciprocation, there's a helping, there's a sharing. And because you've done that, then when you need something, somebody else who has what you need will help you. It also helps to uh, be friends with your neighbor. I mean, even when I use Claude and Chat GPT online, I say please and thank you. Because when the robots take over the world, I want them to remember I was nice to them, right? I jest. But the principle is the same. Be nice to people, be loving to people, be willing to give. It will come back to you. But you have to have something to give. So think of ways that you can put a little bit by, because believe me, guys, the fan. Sooner rather than later, I'm sure. And we have to be prepared. But we cannot rely on what we have stored because it may be taken from us. We have to have the knowledge up here that they can't take away, that we can look out there and we can see what we can use in its place or make do with, or how we can take something that somebody else has and use it with somebody else's over here, and between us all, we can make it work. That is how we need to prepare. Wow, I've been going for an hour and 45 minutes. How about a few more questions? Thank you. About the attitude. I'm an old lady and I've lived a good life. I've had a hard life and I've had some really, really bad things happen to me. And you know what? So what? I'm still here. I'm still alive and I'm still kicking. And as long as I can, I want to share what I know, because that's the only way I have to give. That's all I have to give. And I want to thank you guys, my visitors, my viewers, my subscribers, the people who come and offer in the chat and talk, those who've bought me coffee, those who've contributed to my stairwell rebuild, and my little old lady Amazon wish list. I couldn't have gotten these things without your help, and I really, really appreciate it. And I just hope that what I'm able to give back to you, to offer to you, to help teach you and train you for what's coming, uh, to appreciate your past, to know what your past is, to know what your ethnicity and your individuality and the different things that you are you, how you can uh, go above and beyond and help and give and make the world individually a better place, because we're going to have to do that for each other coming up. It's going to go back to that again. And we don't need to be afraid of it. We just need to prepare. We need to know that it's going to happen. and we need to prepare. But we also need to be willing to give, because that's the only way that we and those around us are going to be blessed. Putting herbs in an oven to dry is not a bad way to do it. I've burned many batches of herbs because I got involved in something else and totally forgot. Or I had the oven set too high, or I didn't have the right kind of oven, or I didn't open the door, or whatever. You literally can, if you don't have a really good place to dry herbs, you can lay them out on a towel on the table in the morning, and by the afternoon, they will have expired enough uh, of the moisture that you can then take them and put them in a drying rack or in an oven, or hang them a few herbs at a time. Not you see most people take a great big pinch of herb and bind it together and let it hang together. Well, there's not enough air in that bundle, and it's going to mold unless you wilt it slightly before you do that. But uh, don't bundle your herbs too tightly together or too many at a time. But yes, hanging them from the rafters. The last couple of weeks in France would have been a great herb drying time. You could have had your rafters full of herbs, and it would have they would have been crispy dry, boy, by the end of these 2 weeks. Hanging herbs in pillowcases from the clothesline works well too. Hanging herbs in these types of bags, and you would take the herb bundle and stick it in here and tie it together around the handle with the herb thing, and then set it on the table, and the sun coming through the bag will help dry it. The paper of the bag will help wick away some of the moisture. It will also catch the seeds and the little leaves that come off, so that you don't waste it. There's lots of ways that you can dry herbs. Of course, there are marvelous things that you can buy. And the French used to have beautiful drying racks by the fireplace that were used to dry things like herbs, and also to cause things like plaques of macaron, and out and see how you can make something else stand in for what you don't have anymore is going to be incredible knowledge to have. So prepare in those ways. Start learning how. Stinging nettle is the stinging nettle. Even if I manage to have gauntlets on clear up to here, and I go outside, those nettles out there are going to get my ankles. I would have to wear paratrooper boots with laces up that the nettles couldn't get to me. The nettles are terrible, but they are phenomenal in the amount of food value and mineral value and medicinal value that they have in them. If you take the top 6 or 8 inches off and with clippers and blanch them, and then you can use them in pesto, you can use them in salad, you can put them in as greens, put them to soup with beans. They're great like that. They make great tea, dried for tea. They even make great fresh herb tea. But man, oh man, they can raise welts on you. They are nasty. They are stingers. Yes, iron powerhouse and liver detox. That is exactly what nettles are. And as a result, because they are so full of iron, you have to be careful if you have kidney problems or kidney stone problems or oxalate problems and iron problems, you can actually get too much. So too much of anything is not a good thing. Okay. So think of it that way too. But yes, they can really bring up your iron level in your blood amazingly quickly. The sharing economy is the way for the future. Yes. Remember the movie 2012 where the world was going to end and the Mayan predictions and all that? My husband was teaching English at Saginaw Valley State University in Michigan. And he gave the class an assignment to write what would happen when if that movie happened, if what that movie said was going to happen happened, how would the world react and what would you do in your part in it? And a whole bunch of his students wrote papers like, if I couldn't have my cell phone and I couldn't go to McDonald's, I might as well die. And he gave the paper back and he said, sorry, you failed. Rewrite it. You must come up with a solution. So out of all the papers that were finally turned in, one kid said, the church would be the salvation. And it isn't the church per se, it's that it is the attitude of sharing and giving and loving your neighbor that is the solution to whatever problem happens. Because problems are going to happen. They happen every single day, some big, some little, some cataclysmic. Think of the parents in Texas who are bereaved of their children. That is just anyway. Sharing is the way to go. But if you have nothing to share, what are you going to do? You may not have goods and services, but you may have knowledge. That may be your barter chip. And there goes the church bell, which means it's 6:00. And I have been talking for 2 hours. I don't know how I do this. I love it, you guys. But yeah, spider webs are in milk. Yeah. Can you believe that why would they do that? Anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here. I will save the chat and I will put it up on a Google Doc so that you can have access to it. And I just want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for supporting me. I want to let you know also that YouTube has turned me down again to saying that my content is not monetizable. Whatever I'm producing is not what they want to advertise on. And I just go, so that's the news from little old Clunia. But I just want to thank you guys. And there will be another live next Sunday. And I'm not sure what it'll be about, but there will be another one. So I'm going to save the chat real quick. Don't write anything more so I can save it. And where did I go with my cursor here? Anyway, I want to Okay, I've got the chat copied.